Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode, we're doing Who Was Better. The topic for this Who Was Better, two of the predominant big men of the 1990s, Big Van Vader and Bam Bam Bigelow. Former tag team champions, two guys that every wrestling fan that was alive back then knows and loves. And what I'm going to do here, if you're not familiar with my format, I have 8 different categories. I'm going to break them down. In each category, I grade on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. At the end, we total up the points, and whoever has the most wins. There is a chance for 5 bonus points. We'll talk about it when we get there. Let's jump right in. Our first category, technical wrestling. Now, this is basically anything from a body slam to a chin lock to an arm bar. Their basic in-ring ability. For this, I'm giving Vader a 3. While I think he's pretty good for a big man, he still was a little bit of a product of his era, and he didn't rely on this as much as maybe he could have. For that reason, he gets a 3. Now for Bam Bam, Bam Bam's getting a 4. In my opinion, Bam Bam had more matches where he dominated by wrestling moves than Vader did. That's why there's a difference in my opinion. And I do think that both men were equally talented. I just believe that Bam Bam used it more, which is why he gets a little bit better of a score. It's kind of like in baseball. If you have 2 really fast players, one that's more known as a base stealer and the other one's more known as a fielder, when you go for running the bases, you pick the base stealer, if that makes sense. That's why I give Bam Bam just a little bit of an advantage here. Next up, striking. For Vader, Vader gets a 5. I could sit here and think and probably come up with a couple, but I don't think I could name more than a handful of wrestlers that are more known for their striking, more believable with their striking, more impactful with their striking than Big Van Vader. I mean, whenever he was throwing fists or forearms or clubbing you in the head, it looked like he was murdering you. And from what a lot of people said, it's because he was murdering them. I thought he was excellent at striking. That's why he gets a 5. Now for Bam Bam, I'm giving him a 4. And again, the difference is the use. Bam Bam was known for his headbutts. That is known. But when you think of a Bam Bam Bigelow match, do you really think of him like punching someone or kicking someone? No, you kind of think of him doing power slams or the headbutt or just shoving people down. He was really good at striking. He just wasn't at the level that Vader was. Now next up, how they perform as a heel. For Big Van Vader, Vader is getting a 5. Vader's run in WCW and in Japan made him possibly the top heel of the early 1990s. In an era that was stacked with massive heels like Ric Flair, Rick Rude, Yokozuna, The Undertaker, Vader stood out as the most dominating of the bunch. Now when he came to WWE, that was a little bit of a different story, but just for the run that he had in that early 90s, I gotta give him a 5. The guy was just outstanding. For Bam Bam, I'm giving Bam Bam a 4. And again, this is more of the lack of opportunity for Bam Bam being a top. Yes, Bam Bam main evented a WrestleMania, something that Vader never did, but that was in a celebrity match. You don't really think of Bam Bam's huge title runs, let's say with Hogan he could have had, or Bret Hart, or Shawn Michaels. He doesn't really get those title runs until later when he goes to ECW and has a feud with Shane Douglas and has his feud with Taz. For that, I gotta give Bammer a 4. I think he's good, it's just he's not on the same level. Now next up, how they perform as a babyface. For Vader, Vader's getting a 3. I honestly can't remember too much of him being a babyface. There was some in Japan. There definitely was some in his late WWE run, but he never really stuck out as a babyface. He never really lit the world on fire like he did as a heel. For that reason, I gotta give him a right about average score. Now for Bam Bam, I'm giving a 4. While I do think his first run in WWE, when they brought him as a friend of Hogan, he wasn't that great of a babyface. I do think later runs as a babyface in different companies, he was much better. That's why I have to mark him up a little bit. I think the difference between Bam Bam and Vader was based on pure dominance, and that doesn't really necessarily transfer well into being a babyface, whereas Bam Bam was all athleticism, which does transfer a little better. That's why he gets a little bit of better score here. Now for our next category, promos, I'm giving both guys a 3. Look, this is simple. They both came in right around the same time. They both had the same style style of promo, which is basically screaming at the camera, which was the standard of the time. I don't think either of them was a great promo, and I think if you asked either of them when they were still alive, they'd both say that that was one of their weaker points. I don't think it was anything that drove people away, but I just think they're average. Next up, presentation. This is another category that they're both getting the same score in. I'm giving them both a 5. Whether it's Vader with the red and black singlet, or the strap style mask, or even the mask with the lightning on it, or the elephant headdress that he would wear to the ring, and his MMA inspired gloves, or Bam Bam with the flames all over and the tattoos of the flames on his head. These guys were instantly memorable. Nobody looks like Vader, nobody looks like Bam Bam. They set themselves apart, they look different, they had a different persona. They both look great. They both get a 5. Now, last but not least, big game performance. This is how you perform in the main events of WrestleMania, Starrcade, whatever it may be. This is another category. I'm giving them both the same score. They're both getting a 4. And the thing that drops them both a little bit for me is they do have some main event matches where they didn't quite blow the roof off. Bam Bam had some matches early in his career which he was forced in the main event, which I don't think he quite fit in yet. And obviously Vader had some in WWE where, depending on what you believe, he may or may not have been sabotaged going into them. I think they did have some excellent big time matches on the other end. Bam Bam and Rob Van Dam, Bam Bam and Taz, Bam Bam and Shane Douglas were all great matches. Vader and Stan Hansen, anytime Vader and Sting or Vader and Cactus Jack came together, great matches. I just don't think they're in that upper echelon. So for that, they both get a... Now, totaling it up, for Big Van Vader, Vader gets a 31. For Bam Bam Bigelow, Bigelow gets a 33. But wait, here's where the bonus comes in. Every Wednesday, I post a poll on my post page here on YouTube, and basically it asks, who is the better of these two wrestlers? And whoever wins, they get 5 bonus points. The winner of the poll getting 5 bonus points, Big Van Vader. And I gotta say, this was the most responses I've ever gotten a poll. I think it was something over 3,000, which is crazy because there's not going to be 3,000 people that watch this video. And, well, I hope there's 3,000 to watch this video, but there probably won't be. But anyway, I digress. Vader picks up the win with the bonus points. A hard-fought victory between two guys that probably would have had an amazing match back in their primes. Congratulations, Big Van Vader. Rest in peace to both men. My name is George Coles, and you've been watching Who Was Better.